In order to make things difficult for the new female teacher, the class bully deliberately poured milk on her. Her upper body had become somewhat see-through from the wet clothes, but even then, she didn't dare to say a word. She just told them to go back to their seats. She thought her tolerance would make the tyrant lose interest, but the next day, when she was fixing some equipment, he brazenly ran up behind her and lifted her into his arms. The surrounding students started hooting and jeering, but the teacher could only seethe in silence. She knew full well she couldn't afford to offend him, not with his family's connections. Crushed, she went to the school rooftop alone to let out her emotions. Hit hard both physically and mentally, she had no choice but to quit her stable job. What the class tyrant didn't know, though, was that his arrogance would soon make him pay a heavy price. The next day, the school hired another new teacher, a refined-looking man. But as soon as he walked into the teaching building, he saw the head teacher coming out of a classroom, fully prepared for trouble. Just as he was about to ask what was going on, another new teacher scampered away in a panic. It turned out this class was infamously known as the devil class of the entire school. Every student in it was a notorious little hellion. The teacher who just ran away in a panic was the 108th teacher to be kicked out. No new teacher has ever been able to stay in a class with these troublemakers for a whole day. Troublemakers around. After hearing the head teacher's explanation, the man thought it might be an exaggeration, but the second he stepped through the classroom door, he realized the head teacher had actually held back. In the classroom, some students were eating hot pot and some bad girls were live streaming. Over by one side, a group had pushed their desks together to play ping pong. What was even more surprising, though, was that the man didn't get angry at all. Instead, he calmly stepped forward and joined the ping pong game, then made a spectacular appearance in the girls' live stream. Furious, the bad girl was furious and yelled at him. Seeing this new teacher disrespect them like that, the class tyrant grabbed a ping pong paddle and threw it at him. In the next second, the man swung his arm sharply, and the paddle embedded itself firmly in the blackboard. The students gasped in shock. Then, the man slowly and unhurriedly introduced himself. His name was Chin Tian, and he was their new homeroom teacher. "Now, let's start class," he said. The reason Chin Tian stayed so composed was that his real identity was the head of the Chin family, the wealthiest family in the country. He'd stepped back from his peak position and handed over all his responsibilities to his subordinates, all because his mother's last wish before she died was to see him become a teacher. To fulfill her dying wish, he'd come to the school hoping to work as a teacher in peace. He never expected to run into such a difficult class on his first day. None of the students below were paying attention. They were all busy with their own things. Witnessing this, Chin Tian decided he needed to save these troubled teens. Just then, the class tyrant walked up to the podium disdainfully and started lecturing him, saying, "Studying's useless anyway. I'm gonna be a big shot like Master Chin someday." Little did he know, the man standing right in front of him was his idol. Chin Tian knew ordinary methods would never work on these students. To truly change them, he proposed a bet. If they could embarrass him within 7 days, he'd pack his bags and leave voluntarily. On the other hand, if they couldn't, they'd have to obey him and study hard from then on. The students thought it sounded fun and agreed without hesitation. For them, making him look silly seemed like a piece of cake. So the next day, they placed a basin of flour on top of the classroom door, waiting to catch him off guard. When Chin Tian opened the door, the flour was about to dump all over him, but in an instant he pulled out an umbrella and blocked the falling powder. Instead, the onlooking students got caught in the mess, covered head to toe in flour. But the students' pranks were just getting started. As soon as Chin Tian sat down, they swarmed around him and threw things at him. But Chin Tian moved as fast as lightning, using the umbrella to swat all the projectiles back. By then, the students were snickering to themselves. They'd already coated his chair with super glue. They were sure he'd get stuck and make a fool of himself. But when one student stepped forward triumphantly to check, he dropped his jaw in shock. Chin Tian wasn't even sitting on the chair. His horse stance was amazingly solid. Taking the chance, Chin Tian pressed that student onto the glue-covered chair, then pulled hard, leaving the kid's pants stuck to the seat. The whole class burst into laughter. But this little incident didn't stop the troublemakers. During PE class, some students complained that practicing basketball was boring and didn't want to do it. So they made another bet with Chin Tian. If they won, they would get free time. The rule was simple. Whoever made more three-pointers would win. This student was known as the three-pointer prince, and he sank 3 shots in a row. The other students were sure they'd won. But then Chin Tian walked calmly to the middle of the court, took a gentle shot, and the ball arced perfectly into the hoop. The student refused to accept it, claiming Chin Tian had just gotten lucky. So Chin Tian took 2 more shots, and made both. This time, the little hellions were completely stunned into silence. After school, they came up with another nasty trick. They put a fake bomb in Chin Tian's car, hoping to scare him into crying. The students all held up their phones to record him making a fool of himself when he saw the bomb. When Chin Tian got in the car, he immediately noticed something was wrong. He got out right away and told the onlooking students to run away quickly. The students laughed at how flustered he looked, never guessing there was a real bomb in the car, planted by his enemies. They kept teasing him for finally falling for their trick, but in the emergency, Chin Tian didn't have time to think about anything else. He ran as fast as he could to the 2 students closest to the car and tackled them to the ground. And in the next second,